Hey y'all, today is Groundhog's Day. It's February the 2nd, and we're up in Hooten Hollow on Stonywood, and it's a beautiful day. It's about 65 degrees. There's not a cloud in the sky, and we are going to do a hike way up into the back of Hooten Hollow. We don't go back there very often. It's pretty rough, but it's a perfect day for it right now. So we're going to take a hike. We're going to take a break from doing work and go hike into the back part of the property. And so anyway, but it's a beautiful day. It's right at noon on February the 2nd. And as you can see, it's just a beautiful day. And I wanted to just capture a little bit of video right now before we go to the back of the property and just show you how pretty it is here in Hooten Hollow. It's just, I love this place so much. That's the brushy bottom over there on the other side of the pond. That's what I call the brushy bottom. And then where we're going to head off to is going to be all the way back in there. And I'm really looking forward to going into the back country. I spent so much time right down here around the pond and most of my time on the brushy bottom the last few years. So I'm really looking forward to taking this walk in the back country. And hopefully I can show y'all something interesting. So thanks for joining me here at Stonywood on a beautiful day. So you guys have been up here before, the upper end of Hooten Hollow. And so it's this is kind of the beginning of the trail that goes up to the big spring. And so off over here is what I call the little spring. That's where this water is coming from down here. It's all coming from that little spring. But this is the trail that goes way up the hill into the woods, that goes to the big spring. So that's where we're heading to today. We have got a little cave, or I guess a small cave entrance, that's up here on the way, and we're going to check that out. And then I noticed on some other video that I took that somewhere about over there appears to be a big hole in the ground. So part of what I'm doing today is going to go check that out and see if we've got another cave entrance maybe. I'm not quite sure. So we're going to check that out and we'll see. It'll be interesting. So anyway, this is pretty much the beginning of the trail going up to the big spring. So we're climbing, the elevation's going up, and I can feel it. You can probably hear it in my voice. But anyway, this is what it looks like heading off into the woods, going into the back country. So we'll stop up here and see if we can find that little cave entrance. I'll show it to you. Okay, so this is the little cave entrance I was talking about. It took me a minute to find it. It's been a couple of years since I've been up here. But it is a little bigger now than I remember it being in the past. And I had to be real careful walking up here, because as you can imagine, you can see there's a lot of dead leaves on the ground here. And there's a couple little bumps in the ground that I wasn't sure that might be the hole, slightly covered with some leaves. So, and you can see there's a stick here that's fallen in, and yeah, this is all stuff that's fallen in the hole. We'll get that out of the way. Maybe you can see the hole a little bit better. There we go. So now you can see a little bit bigger, or a little better, how big the hole is here. It's plenty big enough. Oh yeah, it's plenty big enough that I could get down in there for sure. But I'm not about to. Back when I was younger, I'd be all for it, but I'm not into that anymore. I can see the bottom, and it goes It goes back up in that way. I know Neo can't see up in the dark like that. I'd love to fly the drone down in the hole, and if it could see in dim conditions, I would do that. But Neo needs all the light she can get, so I know that's not going to work out. I'm not going to try it. But anyway, I can't tell how far back it goes. I can see right here that it goes back 8, maybe 10 feet back in there. But it seems to turn and go off that way, and that I can't tell you how far that goes. But anyway, so here's the hole, and I'll let you look around. It's pretty rough country up here, so we'll pan up and pan the camera around so that you can see where we are. Well, we don't need to pan up quite that much, but anyway, we're up in here a ways, and there's the top of my head. So yeah, you can kind of scan around. We're way back up in the woods here, and I'm just going to scan it all the way around, and you can kind of see where we are. We're way up here in the back country, in the back part. So we're going to head on over and take a look at the big spring, and then we're going to go look and see if we can find that other big hole. So let me stand up. Yeah, here I am. So we're going to go look at the big spring. It's right over here, not too far away. Hey y'all, so we made it up to the big spring. This is it. Behind me, it's not that impressive. It's the big spring because it's bigger than all the rest of them. But anyway, it runs all year round. It's just not real strong. The tree that I'm standing on is all that's left of a great big hackberry tree that used to be growing right here where the root ball is, which was right next to the big spring. Unfortunately, it's real rocky, as you can see back here, and so it fell over. It got real big, and the roots couldn't get enough of a grip, and it fell over. Probably about 10 years ago it fell over, and this is what's left of it still. That I'm standing on. So as you can imagine, it was a really big tree. There used to be, well, there still is, there's a fiberglass tank, which you may be able to see behind me, that's kind of caught up underneath the tree. The tree actually fell over on top of the tank, but that tank was set up by the previous owner to catch water coming out of the spring, and then he had a pipe that went through the woods here and ended up back down at that old trailer house. And that's where he got his water from. So he was living off the grid. And that worked real good for him. He did that for a while. So anyway, the spring obviously is still here. It's hard to see because it's behind the root ball of this tree. But this is the big spring, and we're real close to the end of the property. In fact, one of my neighbor's houses is right there, probably about 200 meters at the most, maybe not that much, at the very most, 200 meters from me right there. I can see his window. So I'm so far in the back of the woods that I'm almost back out again. And there literally is a road right above my head here, about 50 meters up. So that's the end of my property. It does go on across this way. It goes back that way for a long ways. But we're going to head across this way and see if we can't find this new cave entrance that I think we might have. So I decided not to try to film this with the Neo because it's so steep here, it's difficult just to even stand up, much less move around. This is what is left of the fiberglass tank that the previous owner was using to catch the water from the spring. It's got a lot of shale and parts of the cliff that fell off on top of it when this enormous hackberry tree fell. And I wish I could somehow give you a scope of how steep it is right here, but it's really steep. Anyway, here is the spring, which I'm going to try to walk without busting my butt and get over here so you can see it better. This is what we got going on. This is the spring. Some people call this a drip spring. You can kind of see why. It doesn't do much more than drip. We're going to get up in here a little farther. Used to be, before the tree fell, this was all a lot more open. You could really get in here a lot better. But anyway, there's the water. This is what we're talking about when I say the big spring. This is it. And that doesn't look like a whole lot, but if you collect all of that in a tank, it can actually fill up a big tank pretty fast. Anyway, so that's it, and that's the big deal. And then we're gonna head on out of here and go check out the other part. Okay, here's a different angle looking at the big spring, and I don't know how much the sun is going to blow me out here, but right up there is the road bed at the top of the hill with the end of my property, and then there's my neighbor's house right there. As you can see, that's not very far away. Not very far away from the spring at all. And that's a lot steeper than it looks like it is. And then going over there is just more of the property. We're way, way back in the woods here. Like I said before, we're so far back in the woods, we're almost back into civilization again. So I was coming down the trail, and sure enough, I found this thing. This is what we saw on the video from the other drone. This enormous crater, which I was stunned to see that in the video picture. I had to come up here and check it out and see what it looks like. So it's a big crater, but it is mostly just soil erosion, and it's going into what is a pretty small hole, which is down here, right there. There's a little hole, and a lot of rocks and gravel. I'm sure there's a bigger hole in there. We have sinkholes around here, so I'm sure there's more to it down below. Whoops, sorry. But right now that's all it is. It's mostly just a soil erosion problem here, and not a giant sinkhole, which is what I was afraid it was. At least not yet. But there's probably one down in there, so it's something to be careful about. Anyway, we found it. So here we are at the little spring. This is the little spring. This one is pretty close to the end of Hooten Hollow. Much easier to get to than the big spring. And so here it is. I cleaned it out a little bit. There was some dead trees that were down in the spring, and so I got in there and rooted around and cleaned it up a little bit. Otherwise, it would be even prettier than it already is. But anyway, this is the little spring, and I'm going to give you a little bit closer look at it because I just think it's really nice. So we'll let y'all take a look. Okay, so I got in the picture so that you can kind of get some scale of the size of the little spring. It might seem like it's actually the bigger spring. Right now, I think there's more water flow in this spring than the other one, but it rained an inch last week. So when it rains, this one runs more. The other one's more consistent. I wouldn't call either one of these really a big spring. It's a small spring. But I'm really happy to have them. There's a couple of more springs down around the pond, which is why the pond is there. But this is probably really the nicest one that you can get access to. So there was a goat shed right over there about 50 feet away. It's not there anymore, but the man that had this before me, he had goats, and this was their water source. So I think that probably worked out pretty good. Anyway, this is the little spring. Okay, so we're at the small spring right now still, but we're going to head up and over into the woods. We're scouting out the possibility of a new road or a pathway or a trail, probably more like a trail. But anyway, we're going to go scope that out, and so let's head on up here. unfortunately, it's a little too brushy, and Neo isn't going to be able to follow along with us. So we'll just have to show you what it looks like when we get to the other side. So this is one of the curiosities that we have here at Stonywood, is that frequently I will find these stumps back in the woods that are about 8 to 10 feet, sometimes 12 feet high. And it looks like it's just been sheared off. This is a hickory tree, and like I said, it's not unusual to find these, but it's just interesting to me. It looks like it's just like something cut it, almost like it obviously didn't get cut by a chainsaw, but it looks like something blasted through it, like it hit with a cannon shell or something. I don't know, but it's just interesting. It's a hickory. It's a fairly good-sized hickory tree, and they're known for being pretty durable. And then right over here, we've got a stand of several other hickory trees, and they're not bothered at all. So whatever happened to this tree back over here with, whatever happened to this thing, it didn't affect anything else anywhere around. I don't know. It just seems funny. There's other ones, and I'll show them to you here in just a second. Well, here's another tree that's blasted off at the top, not quite as high up as the other one was, but still it's about 6 feet off the ground, I suppose. It's been too long ago, I can't identify what the species is, but it's a hardwood of some type. And again, there's a oak that's right here next to it that's not about the same age, and it's absolutely untouched. So it's just a curiosity for me how these things happen. And you can even see it almost looks like shearing through the wood right here. It's just ripped over. So that took a lot to force to do that. I suppose the wind whipped the tree around enough to do that, but it didn't affect the other trees that are, this tree is 8 feet away from this. And it's healthy. Here, let me turn and you'll see. Right there. So there's a healthy tree right here next to this. So I don't know. It's just a curiosity, I guess. But they're not uncommon around Stonywood, especially back in the woods. So anyway, just interesting stuff. So this is just a neat place back in the woods. I think it's interesting. It's almost like a little clearing and really steep hillside to get here. It gets real steep going that way. But right here is a little place that's kind of clear, and it's not so steep. I just think it's kind of cool. I just wanted to share this with you all. You can see that we're way back in the woods here, way back in the woods. And, it's not that steep, and it's just kind of cool how the forest is back here like this. It's just kind of open. And you might be able to see down here is the little trailer house and my truck. I don't know if you can make that out or not. But anyway, that's down there. So it's just a neat little space up here in the woods. That's kind of open and not so steep. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you all. I thought it was kind of cool. We're going to walk down the hill. We'll see how far Neo can go through the woods. So we're way back here in the woods, way up over the top of the brushy bottom, and we're going to head on back down the trail, or well, what there is of a trail. We're going to head through the woods. So this is what it looks like way back in the woods at Stonywood. Here we go. This is pretty much a good example of what it looks like way back in the woods. A lot of places it's a lot more brushy than this. This is actually clear enough that Neo can kind of fly along and follow us, because a lot of the places are not that clear. So anyway, and we're getting all of a sudden a really strong breeze that we didn't have before. We'll see how Neo does with that. And so we're kind of picking up a little bit of a trail right through here. And so this will head down the hill, I think. It goes down to the brushy bottom. If this is the trail, I think it is. You can kind of probably see a little bit on the sides of the trail here that it is real brushy. So we'll see how we do. Not quite sure if Neo will be able to handle it or not, but we'll see. We'll certainly let her try for as long as she can. So this is right above the brushy bottom, just above where I stopped clearing land last year. In fact, right here at these two trees is where I stopped. So all of this is the brushy bottom. Neil's having some trouble, it sounds like. I'm having a little trouble, and I'm not flying. How you doing, Neo? Oh, you're way down there. Okay. So anyway, this is what the trail looks like coming down off the hill. Come on, Neo. Neo is trying to stay level with my head, and the ground is so steep. She's only about 12 feet behind me at the most, but she's kind of flying through the weeds. But anyway, so we're back down on the brushy bottom, which is one of my favorite places to be right now. Right over there is the two dead trees that fell down that we cut up yesterday and piled most of it. And then that's about all we've done down here on the brushy bottom this year. We really haven't done much at all. We've been real busy with a lot of dead trees this year. And there's a bunch more. There's two great big ones over there by the trailer house that I'm hoping will fall on their own, because I'm afraid to get near that with a chainsaw. I'm afraid something unexpected will happen. I don't like that when there's a chainsaw involved. And then there's a great big poplar tree right here that's been hit by lightning, I think a couple of times. Bless its heart, it's a mess. But it's still alive, and it refuses to fall. So one of these days, that poplar's going to fall. And when it does, I'll cut it up. But until it falls, I'm going to stay away from it. And we're just going to head back over here to the truck. I think we're going to call it good for today. It's already sundown up here in the hollow. It'll be sunset for everybody else here in another probably 30 minutes. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed being up here with me today. I've
low battery.
Certainly enjoyed the company.
Warning.
So anyway, thanks for following me, and we'll see you next time.